Hi guys, welcome to Windsome Cottage Garden. My name is Hannah and I'm so glad that you decided to join me today. We're back in the home garden and it's time to do some prep work to get some more plants in the ground. My dad and I actually started this project last night because we are going to be working on the bed alongside the deck, kind of a continuation of the sunbed that we've spent a lot of time working in the last couple weeks. As you can see behind me, we're dwindling down our plant hoard. There's still a couple things left in pots, and our goal is to get most of them in the ground in the next couple of videos you see. And this one is actually going to be taking a rather large chunk. Now it is a brisk fall day. You're going to notice that there's been so many more leaves that have come down since the last time we were in the home garden, and the clock is really ticking when it comes to getting stuff planted yet this season. So I'm going to start out by inserting the footage of what my dad and I did last night, where we were working on prepping this space. And I think this video is mostly going to be some prep work and maybe placing. In the next video, we will be planting, mulching, and then walk you through all the varieties that we've included. So this will be part one. Let's dive into what we did last night, and I'll pick it up again after we see that, and I'll give you an update of the space. So sometime last night the camera did die, and what we ended up doing is, because we knew we were going to need to go buy some soil for this project, and the same place we buy soil is the place that we dispose of yard waste, we decided to sadly put the vegetable garden to bed for the year. So you saw me doing that. You also saw my dad working on some stumps. So let me kind of show you what it looks like, what we're going to be doing, and then I'm actually going to dive in and harvest some potatoes before coming back and moving a couple things to get ready for the rest of this project. So here is the long bed we added a couple weeks ago. And as you kind of turn this way, you can see the rest of it. And oh my gosh, guys, how sad and empty does our vegetable garden look? I do need to put these away. I'm actually going to do that before I continue on to potatoes, which are the last thing left in the vegetable garden to get out. But my dad came through and dug out the stumps that were in here. We had, well, he still has one arborvitae. There was two arborvitae, one of which he got, one of which he still has yet to do. And then he got two yew bushes, or I'm sorry, 3 yew bushes, and he has 1 yew bush left to do. And what we're gonna do is continue this line on, kind of bring it up around here and curve it into the path. Eventually these are going to be changed a little bit more. I've mentioned before I'd love to put like a mini retaining wall in. There's probably going to be a larger turnaround space here, but for the next year, maybe 2, it'll be nice just to have a clean line as I live in the space a little bit more and decide before I put in some of that larger structure that yes, this is definitely what I want to do. So it'll be nice to have that neat line. That'll be a lot easier to mow as I morph this space more slowly over time and as my budget allows. So I am going to go tidy up my mess from last night because I ran out of light to do it. And we're going to harvest potatoes before coming and moving this last azalea that is here. I think it's going to go over here. My dad and mom are both here and they're currently out with my brother looking at houses, which is exciting. Who knows if it'll be something they find that they like. And I'm hoping he's going to be back by the time I get to that because I know there's fabric in there and I could use his help. So let's get you guys set up and we will dive in. Well, this video has really morphed a bit. You saw that my brother and his partner Rebecca stopped by. He helped move the troughs into basically where they're going to live full time. And then I ended up digging the potatoes, as I mentioned I was going to. We moved a azalea that needed to move, and I started defining the edge. My dad also dug out the rest of the roots that were here, and I intended to end this video by planting 3 anchor plants in this new space. However, as you saw, I ran into some fabric that I'm pretty sure was just extra, and they buried it like 18 inches below the surface, so I had to dig quite far to unearth it. And I really wanted to because it would impact these plants because it's right where their roots would be. Hopefully there's no more of that silly fabric in this area. And I think this is where we're going to end it. So let me kind of give you an overview of all that we accomplished, because even though there's only one plant that moved and is in the ground, we still made a big difference today. The azalea that was right where, about a little bit further back from that first hydrangea, has made its way over here. And I think it's going to do really well. When I step out into the grass, it is centered between this Japanese maple we planted earlier this year and this evergreen, which was obviously here when we moved in. It's also about equal distance away from the tree, a little bit further, as this forsythia. And I think it'll do a really good job of breaking up that back fence line, and this will provide an evergreen interest and bright pop of color in the spring a little bit later than this forsythia will. The other big change my dad is currently tidying up is that these troughs moved from their temporary holding area down here. If you have followed my channel for a while, you know that I actually moved last year and brought a ton of these plants that we're planting with me. I also brought these troughs with me. I used to live inside of the city limits. I had a very small lot, and these troughs were actually on my driveway to extend my vegetable garden. I brought them with me, and they lived for the first winter at my parents' house. My parents needed them to move, so they came here, and I didn't know where they were going. They were placed somewhere, and I needed some manpower to come and move them, and my brother was able to do that today. And it's really convenient because there's a lot of leaves we have to get out. So we got that done, and I think it helps make this empty space look a tiny bit less empty. We're gonna fine tune it a tiny bit because we need to make sure. I'd like there to be a little bit more space. We need to get these lined up. Ironically, even though these troughs are all the same size, this one is a heck of a lot wider, and it just looks strange since it's the first one. So we may end up moving it down here, moving this skinny one up. We have to figure it out a little bit, but I think in general it will provide another nice little end cap. I've mentioned before that this oak leaf hydrangea is actually going to move. It was planted here when this was a lot shadier, and it's getting too much sun now, but I don't have time to move it this year, so we're doing this right now, and we're gonna leave it, and in the spring it'll probably move, which is when we will utilize these things again. Oh, the dogs have been released. You saw me empty all these. I have to come in and clean up some fallen tomatoes, but they look empty and clean. And we're gonna have to figure out how to address the root problem we have in this raised bed, because this maple tree is rooting up into it, which made it very difficult. But the final thing we did is get this dug out. Now I have plans for this area right here, which will involve taking out all the grass eventually and turning it into bed or a stoned area on the vegetable garden, but I'm not sure when that's going to happen. Some of it might be next year, some of it might be 2 years, some of it might be 10 years. So this is, I think, a really good first step as I shape this area, especially because on the list of things I need to do is get my deck redone because it's a little bit sketchy. So when I do that, I'm actually going to be changing where the steps off the deck are. They're right up against the house, and ironically they're going to go right where this big dirt pile currently is. We took off from the line that we stopped probably about a month ago. I'll link that video below, and just kind of continued on. You may have seen me fine-tuning it a little bit because there was a little bit that needed some additional shaping once you dug it out and could see it better. But I think it's a really pleasing line that'll be easy to cut. So all in all, it really was an excellent day and a couple hours last night's work. And we will be able to dive into this space tomorrow and start getting it filled with plants from the plant hoard that are behind me. If you like this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, share this with your friends. I really appreciate you joining me today, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye-bye.